Hi mechanics, it's time to go over the basics of building. For your enjoyment and education, I am about to explain everything you need to know in order to become a true scrap mechanic. The point of this video is to get you comfortable with the building system so that you spend less time learning and more time creating impressive creations. I'll go over everything from how to walk to how to build a vehicle. I built this little camp up ahead to demonstrate and explain everything in an easy way. You control your character with the W, A, S and D keys on your keyboard, and you look around with the mouse. We think you'll agree that this groundbreaking method will revolutionise the next generation of gaming. So here we are at my camp, my training camp. Let's open this neat little gate that I built. So you jump by hitting the spacebar. And if you need to crouch to look under things or to sneak through narrow openings, hold down Control. To adjust the camera view, hold down Alt and scroll back and forth. Remember that you can at any time change the key bindings in the settings menu, just press Escape to get to it. You can also invite friends to your world from here. It's so much fun creating machines and vehicles with good friends, or as a way to find out if your friend is a bad friend by refusing to join you in Scrap Mechanic. Let's have a little look into the fun stuff now. Building. Let's start by opening the inventory by pressing I. Here you've got all the stuff that you're carrying. You can hold your mouse over any item to see more information to the right of it, like the item's name, its weight and what it can do, if it has a function. You can drag any item you want to use down to the hotbar down here, and select it using the mouse wheel once the inventory is closed. To the left you'll find the toolbar, where you'll find all of the tools you're carrying. There are 3 different types of building objects in Scrap Mechanic. You've got blocks, parts and interactive parts. Let's go over them. Okay, blocks. These are base materials like stone, wood or metal. They can be scaled when building, making it really easy to make big walls for a house, for example. Allow me to demonstrate. You can place individual blocks by clicking the left mouse button, and if you want to delete a single block, just click on the right mouse button. Now let's scale this block. Hold down on the left mouse button and drag. You can switch between horizontal and vertical scaling by pressing Q. There we go. Sometimes you want to delete a large section. Just hold down on the right mouse button and mark the area you want to delete, then release. Pretty simple.
That's a pretty cool system.
Blocks will have a blue line under them in your inventory. Haha! Parts. These items have got a unique look, but don't actually have any specific function, making them fantastic to use when you want to decorate the things that you build. These objects can vary in shape, weight and size, and it can be anything from a fence to a plant in a pot. Let's take this large support structure. I can rotate the object by pressing Q. Every object has got a different amount of rotating steps depending on its shape and design. You place it down by clicking on the left mouse button and delete it by holding down on the right mouse button. Here's another cool thing you can do using larger parts. By holding down on the left mouse button, we can drag and place objects with more precision on different surfaces, which is very useful. Okay, the next gate has got some pretty awesome stuff behind it. Okay, let's see what's hiding behind this next gate. Hey, what the... I'm showing our new mechanics, the basics, to the Scrapmobile with you all, and gather everyone. I'll be there soon.
Okay, I'll see you there.
Now, let's take a look at every mechanic's favourite, interactive parts. These items are really special because they all have their own unique features, and they're tons of fun to use in your creations and allow you to build absolutely incredible things. Here we've got the bearing, the mechanic's best friend. Everything you place on it will be able to spin. It's an essential part in Scrap Mechanic. This is another favourite of mine, the gas engine. Fantastic for powering bearings and making vehicles. Just be sure to take it easy when setting the speed. This thing, it can make things spin pretty fast. Oh, and here's the awesome controller that lets you set movements in a sequence. You really should use this device to build jaw-dropping transforming machines. You will love this one for sure. I love the controller. Right, let's see, what else have we got here? The electric engine. This one works in exactly the same way as the gas engine, but it's got fixed power and adjustable speed for that nice, smooth rotation. The gas engine is still better for powering vehicles, though. Let's see what we've got over here. The driver's seat turns bearings left and right, can also power thrusters, but it really shines when it's connected with a gas engine, a must for controlling vehicles. The seat is pretty comfy too, I mean, check that padding.
Oh dear.
What else have we got here? We've got the thruster right here. This thing can make your creations fly if you put enough of them on there. It can be activated from a driver's seat or by a trigger. Great mechanics are going to make great things with the thruster. Oh, here's a radio. Nice to place on your vehicle and make those long trips more enjoyable. Here we've got different types of suspension. These guys are your best friends when you want a stable vehicle. I always use these when I build cars. Lastly, here we've got some triggers. First up, the sensor right there. It activates when something moves into its line of sight, as you can see. Then we've got the switch, turns things on and off. Surprise. Then we've got the button that activates things for as long as you hold it down. There is so much more to say about all of these fantastic interactive parts. Take a look at our introduction videos and check out the Mechanics Handbook that's already equipped right there in your inventory for more details of how to use some of these. Next up, let's look at some tools. Some of the interactive parts can be connected with each other, and to do that you need the Connect tool. For example, if you want an engine to power a bearing. Make sure they're placed on the same structure and drag one connect point to the other by holding the left mouse button and dragging the mouse. Now they're connected. Now I can press E on the engine and set it in motion like so. It's very simple, and connecting other things is based on the same principle of dragging and connecting. Let's do one more. Let's connect this driver's seat here to a bearing. Again, press E on the driver's seat to use it. I can also right-click with the Connect tool on a bearing to change the direction in which it spins. One of the most important tools when building vehicles is the lift. Every player only has one lift each. It helps you freeze the physics and also keep your projects separated from the ground. The lift can also pick up your creations if they tip over, which is really useful. Here we've got a vehicle that's upside down, but I want to turn it back upside up. So I've got the lift selected in the hotbar. I just point at the creation and press the left mouse button, and now the creation's on the lift. All I've got to do is choose a spot and place it down with the left mouse button again. There we go. Now just pick up the lift and we're good to go. Right, I reckon we should have a go at building something together. We can build a simple vehicle. I'll place down the lift first, then scale a metal block as the base on the lift. Now let's place the driver's seat and rotate it with the Q key, and we'll add a gas engine. Now we can elevate the lift with the arrow keys on your keyboard so we can comfortably place things from underneath. So now I'll put one bearing in each corner in the front, then add legs in each corner. The ones with the bearings will be controlled by the steering wheel so we can turn the vehicle. Now let's place a bearing on each leg like so and put a wheel on them. It's beginning to look a lot like a vehicle. It's beginning to look a lot like a vehicle and sound a lot like a song. Time to hook things up with the connect tool. First connect the driver's seat to the engine, then connect the engine to all the wheels, because of course we want the engine to power the wheels. Now connect the driver's seat to the front bearings because we want it to turn them. While we're down there, let's right click on them so that they rotate the right way. Also make sure the wheels powered by the engine turn the right way, otherwise the vehicle isn't going to work very well. Press E on the engine, here we can adjust the speed. Be careful here not to pull it up to max on small vehicles because they'll just flip over. In this case I'll put it on the second gear. Now let's remove the lift by holding the right mouse button and ta-da! A basic vehicle. Of course you can add so much more to this. Suspensions, thrusters and more. There's no right and wrong. You are the master of your own creation. Okay, that's it. Congratulations, you can now start building. We can't wait to see what you're going to build with all of these awesome parts. I better hurry now, I guess I've got some friends waiting for me. We are going to take our newly built Scrapmobile for its first spin. Oh, and make sure to check our other videos to learn more. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Facebook for all the latest Scrap Mechanic news. Till next time, mechanics! Hi mechanics, let's jump right into introducing you to the lift, one of many features we'll be guiding you through right here on our Scrap Mechanic YouTube channel. As you can see, building on the ground in Scrap Mechanic is simple. Everything conforms to a grid-based system and anything you create will stay put as a permanent structure. Unless of course you remove the bottom object, in which case it'll fall over. Whoops. In order to build things that aren't attached to the ground in the first place, you'll need to meet this guy, the lift. Controlled by the up and down arrow keys, it gives you the power to lift stuff up and down, all the way up, and all the way down, up and down. With the lift, you're able to build whatever you like, so allow me to throw something together to demonstrate. We'll start with a couple of these. Get a couple of these on here, here, there as well. The lift is one of the most important tools you'll come across in the game. It will be indispensable later when it comes to building vehicles and other contraptions. The lift also affords you the luxury of building stuff from underneath, practical. Add a few more things here. You can remove the lift by right-clicking, and once it's removed you've created a physical object. So with the lift selected, I'll left-click on what I've been building and then place it back on the ground. And and I can add more things to the things I added things to earlier. But this time we're going to throw some bearings into the equation, which will allow you to get moving, rotating parts involved in your constructions. When you build using the lift, the bearings won't move, which gives you a good idea of what exactly you're supposed to be up to. A little bearing there, and one of these blue things. Voila! Moving parts. As you can see, now that the object is back up on the lift, the parts affected by the bearings have snapped back into their original positions, making it easy to just pick up right where you left off. Let's put one of those there. So we just take a step back, remove the lift, and watch it all go bananas again. Beautiful. Now, let's go over here, because over here is where we'll find the tower I've been working on a little bit earlier. He's got a motor attached, which will power any moving parts you have on your construction, but more about that later. My main problem right now is that I want a taller tower, but I'm really only a very short person. So, do you reckon we should get the lift involved? Yeah, so do I. More than just lifting objects, it can also lift me, so that I can carry on working on my tower, which is where we're going to leave it for this time. But we can't wait to see what you're going to build using the lift. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, where you'll get weekly updates from Scrap Mechanic. Thanks for... Hi mechanics, today we'd like to introduce you to two very special items that can be used together, the gas engine and the driver's seat. There's basically no end to the incredible things you can build with these, but best of all is how quickly you can build really impressive moving creations, just like this sweet ride I'm rocking right here. Marvel at the quality of my parking, and as you catch your breath from witnessing the beauty of that dismount, let's take a first look at the engine. Now, in order for the engine to successfully connect to the bearings, it needs to be attached to whatever construction you're working on, so let's hook it all up like so. Now let's press E on the engine to turn up the speed a bit, not too fast though. Now, to give you an idea of how it all looks when it's all done and ready to run, we'll just add a few blocks here and there to the bearings that I've already attached to the wheels. Then we'll connect the engine to the bearings using the fiendishly easy to use connect tool and watch the whole thing fly. Let me demonstrate. By left clicking, holding down the mouse button and dragging from the engine's connect point, I can connect it to the bearings. It really is that simple. This gas engine can power up to 5 bearings. With a little imagination, you can build some really impressive stuff with this simple function. Now let's change the spinning direction of the bearings by right-clicking on them. It's just as easy to disconnect bearings from the engine as it is to connect them in the first place. A simple left click with the connect tool will do the trick. Now allow me to introduce another cool thing. Our second item works hand in hand with the engine and goes by the name of the driver's seat. And here it is, all upholstered and orange. And just like we did with the engine, let's connect the bearings to the driver's seat. It's going to be pretty nice to take a seat at this point, so we're just going to hit E on the driver's seat to sit down. Check out how I can turn the bearings. Look, legs, mechanical legs. It's the keys A and D you'll need to move from left to right. Let's change the direction on the bearings. You know, you can keep building on top of this and it always turns into something interesting. Now that we've gone over the basics, why don't we build a simple car? Exploring the world on foot is great, but sometimes you'll want to travel faster. Sometimes you'll need to travel faster. Let's build it nice and wide so that it doesn't flip over too easily. Now, if you have a sharp memory, or a memory, you'll remember all of this stuff you can see here from another video of ours featuring the lift. Let's just speed through this a little bit. interior design. Now let's grab the connect tool and hook everything up, starting by connecting the driver's seat to the engine. Turn on the engine or you'll be going nowhere. Now let's connect the gas engine to the wheels, since we want the gas engine to power the wheels. These little blue icons represent bearings you can connect to on the other side of what you're doing, meaning that you don't have to take the long and tiring walk around what you're building to see that it gets hooked up. We want the driver's seat to turn the wheels, so we'll connect it to these bearings here. Make sure everything rotates the right way and we should be ready to go. Best thing is, there's nothing to stop me building on top of this and adding more stuff. More plants, maybe. Of course you don't have to make a vehicle, there are endless other possibilities, and we can't wait to see what you're going to be building using these. I'm going to set off driving using W to go forwards and S to move backwards. What we didn't mention at the beginning is that we would also include this brief segment of how not to operate heavy machinery. Now, I'm going to hop back into this more beautiful car that I clearly care more about, and drive off in search of more adventure. While I do that, you stay right here and watch as we show you a bunch of cool stuff we've put together using the tools we've seen in today's video. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, where we post news from Scrap Mechanic every week. Thanks for watching. Hi mechanics, today we'd like to introduce you to two very special items that can be used together, the gas engine and the driver's seat. There's basically no end to the incredible things you can build with these, but best of all is how quick massive moving creations. First look at the engine. Now, in order for the engine to successfully connect to the bearings, Hi mechanics, time to blast ourselves sky high by introducing the thruster. Fancy glances at the thruster in use there, but let's now take a look at how it all works and how you can build amazing aircraft and marvellous machines. The thruster is not only tons of fun, but also remarkably useful. I've started by placing a few thrusters right here, and here I go with the last one to finish. As you can see, the thruster is switched off when placed, so I'll add a switch with a toggle function and connect it to the thruster. Now time to switch them all on. I've set up a little firing range with some loose objects to smash up. If you remove whatever object the thruster is attached to, it thrusts itself all over the shop at will, except for that one. Be careful though, as things can easily get out of control with the thruster around. Let's harness some thruster power into running a car. Thruster powered vehicles have got their advantages. For example, it makes getting over the really steep hills a cinch. Here's one I made earlier. Just the connect tool biz to take care of. Let's connect the steering wheel to the front wheel bearings for that sweet directional control. I'll hook it all up to the thrusters now, so that along with the steering control, I've got control over the thrust by using the W key. Simple. Now let's jump behind the wheel. How awesome is that? I'm now going to take a short drive to over here with swan-like grace and skill. Now we can take a look at how thrusters work together with sensors to unlock the dream world of some kind of hovercraft. As you can see, I'm assembling a little platform here and attaching some sensors pointing towards the ground. Once hooked up to some thrusters, the two gadgets join forces to create an amazing hovering function, which will allow you to glide with peace and stability toward any destination of your choosing. What I've built here is a reliable masterpiece of engineering. More creative mechanics can surely use that function to create something genuinely magnificent. Next up, I've got this nifty little aircraft that I've already built and connected, so you can join me as I take off into the clouds. I've used two buttons here which can be connected to the bottom thrusters of the aircraft and assigned numbers on my keyboard, which lets me control the thrust directly as well as steering in the usual way from my driver's seat. Now I'll give it a little try before takeoff. 1 and 2 for the bottom thrusters, W from the driver's seat, A and D for direction, and we're all good. Time for takeoff. Imagine building and operating this together with your friend, where each person controls a set of thrusters on the same vehicle. It's just asking for trouble, but it's also promising straight up funnies. Just like everything else in Scrap Mechanic, there's a whole bunch of ways you can use the thruster, and a little imagination can take you a very long way, just much faster. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook and Twitter, where we post news from Scrap Mechanic every week. Thanks for watching. Hi mechanics, today we will introduce the controller. This is one of the parts that makes Scrap Mechanics so unique and opens a whole new level of creativity for the player. Trust me mechanics, this thing is amazing. What you just saw there were a few of the fantastic creations you can build with the controller. But how does it actually work? If I show you, you'll see that it's surprisingly easy. It's convenient actually that I'm right in the middle of building a storage house and it needs a door. So let's make a basic automatic door. I want the door to spin on a bearing right here. So just add that there. Now let's add a nice piece of wood as the door. And now let's place the controller here. You have to have some sort of trigger connected to activate the controller, so I'm placing a switch here as well and connecting them together with the connect tool. Now let's take a closer look by pressing E on the controller. As you can see, there are no bearings attached to it yet, so let's close it and connect the one we just placed. As you can see, bearings get numbered so that you can keep track of all the connections. This is my first bearing, so let's open the controller again. Notice there how the bearing has its own row with different dials. The first dial allows you to set from where you want the rotation to start, but it's in a good position now, so we don't need to do that. Now we just want it to do 1/4 turn in the beginning of activation. You set the dial by holding the left mouse button and drag left and right over it. You might wonder what the rest of the dials do. Here's the cool part. Every time you activate the controller, it will play all of these as a sequence. Now let's hit the switch. Simple. Now we've got a nice automatic door right there in place. But how about we add something a little bit more, like a reinforcement that will look more interesting? So let's place a bearing here next to the door and add a long piece of metal on top of it. It's not as funny as I want it to be, so let's just stick a shoe on the end. Now, time to hook it up and enter the controller again. See how we've got a second bearing in place now. No point setting the start position since it's already exactly how we want it to be. Now, here's where the first door rotation is done with its movement. So after that, we want the reinforcement to come down. So I just choose the one after. Now let's try it out. That looks pretty neat. Now we've got a working door in place. You can set it to play the movement in a loop or back and forth. The controller can have 10 bearings connected to it, and each bearing can rotate 10 times in a sequence. With that, you can create some true masterpieces of machinery. By the way, check this out. Let me show you my main house here. I made a different door on this house, and yeah, welcome to my house, mechanics. As you can see, my house entrance was also built using the controller, which is pretty neat. You can see there are endless ways you can build the same thing. I think I've got it looking pretty nice in here. Plants here and some shoes. You can relax and listen to the radio. Ooh, even got a little sink here to stay nice and clean. Hello, little friend. But you know what? I've got a little bit of a secret. This house that I've built is not a regular house. It actually transforms into a moving vehicle. Hold on to your seats. Check this out, right? Let's transform it back again. It never gets old. So check it out, it's a house that does everything. It's got folding ceiling, folding walls, folding floorboards. The folding floorboards is a nifty storage solution. Like, you can keep anything under there. It doesn't have to be humans. Lovely. And again. This is awesome. What the? I didn't know you were down there.
Hey, I really want to move house. I'll drive you.
As you can see, this has got way more controllers connected to one switch and many more bearings, but even though it looks incredibly complex, it's all based on the basic function which I just demonstrated when making the door, just with one or two more connections. Time for us to drive off now, I guess. Now, it's up to you to find new ways of using the awesome controller, so come on, mechanics, let's build some fantastic machines. Of course, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, where we will post news from Scrap Mechanic every week.